I think we are sometimes tempted to take pity on ourselves and believe that the times of the past were simple and carefree compared to ours. But that certainly was not so in Don Bosco's time. Stay tuned while I read a letter written to Don Bosco in 1864 that could just as well have been written in 2025, 160 years later. I'll also share a story of a rabble-rousing heretical priest and how Don Bosco dealt with him.
A project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Adrian Fonseca. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Throughout history, saints have faced both devoted friends and bitter enemies. Today we'll explore how Don Bosco navigated these relationships in his own time, a period with remarkable parallels to our modern world. As we delve into this fascinating aspect of Don Bosco's life, keep these key themes in mind: the time of struggle the church faces across generations, Don Bosco's bold approach to confronting heresy and falsehood, and the comfort of true friendship during challenging times. And a question to consider: when facing opposition to our faith today, how might we apply Don Bosco's courage and clarity? The Salesian Archives contains many letters and testimonials expressing the love and esteem people throughout Italy had for St. John Bosco. Let's explore some of these relationships that shaped his ministry. Today you will hear the touching words written by Father Joseph Apollonia, a Venetian priest who later would become the Bishop of Adria and Treviso. Venice, September 3rd, 1864. My dear Don Bosco, how happy I was the other day when some people beloved of God brought me your greetings. However, I felt a thorn of grief on hearing that you expect to live but a few more years. No, dear Don Bosco, do not leave us. Even though you may not be necessary, and this applies to all of us, you are still extremely useful, especially today. Though my prayers are of little worth, I am going to beseech the Lord not to hearken to you if you want to die soon. You too should pray as Saint Martin did. O Lord, if you still need me for your people, do not shirk labor. You have done much good during these years, but you can still do much more. Don't let afflictions and troubles dishearten you. I can imagine the extent of your sufferings. I too, try to cheer myself up all I can, though I often feel that I can no longer take it. Dear Jesus, what sorry times you have placed us in. The bloody persecutions harassing the bride of Christ for 3 centuries were nothing compared to what she now undergoes. How horribly minds and hearts have been corrupted. But I feel confident, even certain, that within a few years, a few months perhaps, things will return to normal, at least outwardly. Of course, this will amount to little if people do not change their attitudes. Their minds are so poisoned, morally, religiously, and socially, that nothing short of a miracle, a first-class miracle, can straighten things out in a decade or so. My dear Father, I can't even begin to tell you how much this hurts me, even physically. Yet, I find strength in my need to do my very best in discharging the many thorny duties assigned to me by my superiors. And then, to tell the truth, it is not all thorns. The Blessed Virgin and her divine Son temper our sufferings with gentle comfort. But now my chatter has taken up too much of your time. Coining to ourselves, let me tell you, dear Don Bosco, that you are very often in my thoughts, and that frequently, during the past few days, I have prayed for you, though unworthily. Please pray for me too. I do not dare ask even for only a few lines in response, though you know how happy this would make me. God bless you in your work, and crown it with ever greater success. Devotedly and gratefully yours, Father Joseph Apollonia. This actually reminds me of some of the wisdom from Don Bosco's book, Roadmap to Heaven. Don Bosco wrote many books, but two of his most spiritually powerful are his Roadmap to Heaven and Sacred History. It's a shame, but these two books can be hard to find. We at the Miracles and Prophecies of Don Bosco realized that not enough of Don Bosco's works were being read anymore. So years ago, we started to publish Roadmap to Heaven and Sacred History. And now we offer them as two possible gifts to our promoters at Don Bosco. If you like these or any other of our many spiritual gifts that our monthly promoters receive, click the link in the description box down below. Okay, back to the story. That very same month, Father John Giacomelli told the following story. The retreat had to end one day earlier than scheduled because foul-mouthed Father Joseph Ambrosio and a mob of hoodlums were staging a long, disgusting demonstration in front of the Vincentians' retreat house. This agitator, who was in the pay of heretics and anti-clericals, had already staged similar disgusting demonstrations in front of other religious institutions, and he kept spouting sacrilege, ridicule, and invectives in public squares and in the areas of churches, loudly applauded by cheering squads of tavern-goers. One day, followed by a curious crowd, he went to Valdoco, and he began ranting before the oratory gate, vilely inveighing against Don Bosco, until he ran out of breath. The rabble clamored, guffawed, shouted anti-clerical insults, and even booed the orator when his eloquence did not measure up to their standards. The oratory residents totally ignored him. When Don Bosco returned and heard about the incident, he remarked, "Why didn't you station the band right at the gate and drown him out with a deafening march?" He himself, though, silenced Father Ambrosio with a pamphlet entitled, "Who is Father Ambrosio?" In this flyer, he portrayed the apostate's unpriestly immoral life and urged the faithful to avoid and disregard him. Thousands of copies were immediately spread throughout Piedmont, and several reprints were made in later years. As we can see, Don Bosco was unafraid to combat heresy and unmask its spokesman. Instead of turning a deaf ear to their attacks, he fought their ignorance with truth, changing the tide of public opinion with his pamphlets and upright demeanor. And as you can see from today's video, Don Bosco faced the same moral battles and tricks of the devil that we do today. We too have to combat apostate priests spreading anti-Catholic heresy. Take, for example, Father James Martin and Sister Gramick, two Catholic clergy who promote homosexual sin in the name of charity. The characters seem to have remained the same throughout history. Only the names change, but not the rebellious spirit that motivates their actions. Don Bosco's approach to both friends and foes offers us valuable lessons for our own time. First, he treasured the support and prayers of faithful friends like Father Apollonia, who encouraged him to persevere despite difficulties. Second, he confronted falsehood directly and publicly, not allowing heresy to spread unchallenged. Third, he utilized the communication tools of his day, pamphlets and publications, to spread truth and counter lies. What strikes me most about these stories is how timeless they feel. Father Apollonia's lament about sorry times and poisoned minds could have been written yesterday. The tactics of those opposing the church remains remarkably consistent throughout the centuries. Yet Don Bosco's example reminds us not to despair. With courage, clarity, and the support of faithful friends, we too can navigate the challenges that our times give us, while keeping our focus on Christ. But what aspect of Don Bosco's approach to friends and foes resonates with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below, because I would love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me today. St. John Bosco, pray for us. May God bless you, and Mary Immaculate keep you under her mantle. God love you.